Makarri Roll Tide. How is this victory lap for you and your teammates going here in 2024?
It's going good. I mean, we've had our ups and downs, but who doesn't, but we've just been having the best time, and we've been working out what we need to work out, but we're doing it together and that's all that matters. And yeah, we're just having a great time.
That's certainly good to see. And for you, that's included some good results on the uneven bars. And you've been a bars champion before throughout your career. Just what do you love about that event, first of all?
Yeah, I think I've always had a love-hate relationship with bars. It was never my favorite event growing up, but I was always injured on my lower body, like legs or ankles or whatever. So I always had extra time to do bars. So I got to learn to love it, and now I just get to transfer that out there and learn to have fun with it. And I've done that. So yeah.
Well, that's certainly good. And speaking of the bars as well, just kind of going through your routine, what are some of the thoughts you have when you're mid routine? Is it all just about the next move, or is it trying to stay steady to a certain level? I mean, how do you organize kind of your thoughts when you're going through one of those tough routines?
Yeah. So I always try to ground myself the best that I can because it is nerve-wracking in front of all those people. And I think we've worked a lot on what our cues are on each event. And for bars, I've had to work out what works for me. And I realize that the simpler I keep it in my mind, the better it's going to be. So just to not overwhelm myself in my head and just do what I know how to do every day in the gym. But for me, my main cue is on my first release move is just to get my heels down. And if that happens, and everything else just kind of flows the way it's supposed to. So if I just stick to that, I feel like everything else just gives me the confidence to keep going and just go with the flow, really, because you just have to go with how the bars are moving. And yeah, just go with the flow, really.
And we know that led last year to a great score at Kentucky when you got a perfect 10. Just how tough is it to compete on the road in gymnastics in general? And then what led to that great score against the Wildcats a year ago?
Yeah, I think it's always hard to go on the road and get used to the equipment so quick. We only get like 15 minutes on each event to figure it out. But I think we've all done a really good job with working on different bars in the gym so that that adjustment is easier and quicker once we get there. Um, but yeah, being in Kentucky and getting that 10 was just a amazing feeling because it's close to home. So a lot of my family was there and they got to see it. And sometimes it's hard for them to get all the way here to Alabama because I'm from Ohio. So so yeah, I had most of my family there and it just made it that much more special.
Well, that's certainly good. Speaking of your family, speaking of Ohio, let's talk about the start that you had in gymnastics. What was the initial spark to get in the gym?
Yeah, so my mom was a gymnast and she competed at West Virginia University. So my two older sisters were put into gymnastics too. And they loved it. So we kind of just all went on the train of, the little gym classes, the mommy and me classes. So we did all of that and we kind of just kept it going. We did a lot of sports growing up, but we just stuck with gymnastics because that's what we love the most. But yeah, it kind of runs in the family. And but yeah, that's how it kind of started. Just my mom being a gymnast, putting all her kids in it and seeing where it went.
What was the moment when you decided that gymnastics was the path for you and you kind of shut other sports out and then you're going to go down this road?
Yeah, so I did the elite route for a little bit. I homeschooled, I think it was fourth, fifth, and sixth grade. And that's kind of when I got serious with going that route. But we had 2-a-day practices and I was still doing track. And so I would do my 2-a-day practices at the gym and then I would go straight to track practice and then just kind of do that every day. But I think once I ended that journey, the elite journey, is kind of when I stopped all the other sports and I just focused in um, on gymnastics. I think I was about whew, 12, 11 when that happened, when I stopped doing the other sports. But I knew always that gymnastics was going to be what I stuck with. I just like to do other things too.
Well, led to a lot of success for you at the junior level, and then comes time for your college choice. You ended up picking Alabama again, a little bit further away from home. What went into your decision, first of all, to choose the University of Alabama? What stood out about Alabama at first?
Yeah. So for me, I was really young when the whole recruiting process started. I was starting to get letters when I think I was like 10. And I didn't understand what was going on. I was a baby. But I think it was my third year of level 10 is when I started taking visits and things like that. I went to Georgia, I always went to West Virginia just because my older sister ended up going there for gymnastics too. So I went there, and then we had a meet in Atlanta, so we drove here to Alabama and to take a visit. And I got here and I was just like starstruck. I was like, oh my gosh, like this is so cool. And I got the whole like going to Saban's office, wearing all of his rings, and the whole red carpet experience. And I was like, baby me, I was like, I want to go here, mom. And they made me wait like about a month to call and um say that I wanted to come here and commit because I was so young. They wanted me to be sure. But I knew this is where home was, and I stuck with my decision. And 5 years later, I got here, and then now 5 years later, I'm ending my journey here. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
does that blow your mind? It's been 10 years. I mean, since
so crazy.
that initial visit.
So crazy. It doesn't even feel real. I feel like I'm still a freshman sometimes, and sometimes I feel like I'm 60. Like it goes back and forth, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
Well, what was the adjustment like going from the elite work or level 10 work to all of a sudden college gymnastics and then the Friday night heights environment that's created, especially in the SEC? We talked about it with Louisa last week. It's grown so much from the first time you guys got on campus to where it is now. I mean, it is such a spectacle each and every Friday.
Yeah. Yeah, from the elite journey to club gymnastics, just staying in JO and level 10, and then to here, it's all been different. Each level of whatever you're doing is going to be different, but I think that's the beauty of this sport. You get to experience so many different things that not a lot of people get to experience. But when I got here and Friday Night Heights and all of that stuff, I was like, I didn't even, because for me, I watched college gymnastics, but I didn't like understand like what that meant until I was here. And just looking up and seeing all those people cheering for you and your team, it was just like, whoa. Like, because obviously in elite gymnastics, it's very individualized, and it's very like you don't have a team atmosphere. So getting to come here and have that team, that family, that um home away from home is just so special, and it makes every meet that you have just that much more amazing. And you don't want to take it for granted because it does go quick.
It certainly does. And of course, your time at Alabama, a lot of great performances, of course, for the Crimson Tide at Coleman Coliseum and on the road with gymnastics, but in the classroom, great performances as well. What was your focus academically here at Alabama?
Yeah, I was a communications major and I minored in social work. It was the other way around for a little bit, but with social work, there was just the amount of like hours and work that you had to do all ended up falling on my practice time. So I had to make it my minor to be able to still do that. So, but I got my degree in that, and now I'm getting my master's in sports management. Because for me, I want to combine my social work degree and my sports management degree and make a nonprofit for people that, have had tough times or can't afford being in sports or anything like that. I want to be um, somewhere that they can go and play whatever sport they want to play and not worry about anything else but that, and just, have the experience that they deserve to have.
Well, speaking of some of the work you've done in the community, you got involved with the Verb Kind project with Haley Hunt. How did that come about, and what were some of the most important lessons you learned from that? I know you've written about that on rolltide.com.
Yeah, so I always knew that I wanted to work with kids. I love kids, but I wasn't sure what that looked like. I knew it wasn't like anything medical or anything like that. I just knew I wanted to help in some sort of way. In my senior year, I went into the office to ask like just what my options were, what there was around here, because I wanted to do something. And he gave me Haley's contact to the Verb Kind. And right away, she invited me to go to the juvenile detention center here in Tuscaloosa. And I went, and we go in there and we mentored the kids, and we got to talk to them. They got to share their stories with us. And we just got to learn more about each other. And from then on, like that changed my entire life, because that's exactly what I wanted. I never knew what that was until I experienced it. And I was so glad that um, I got to do that, and I got to see and learn more about myself and more about these kids and just what's going on in our systems and our communities. And yeah, so from then on, I've been working with them and just doing what I can for them, because I feel like there's always this outlook on kids that are in detention centers like, oh, they're bad kids, but they're really not. You just have to listen to them and see where they came from and just how they got there. And so many of them were just like, when I get out of here, I'm going to get my degree. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And we made like vision boards and everything just so they had that, I guess that anchor of like what they could look back on. Like at one point, I wanted to be here, and that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to keep my journey going that way. And I'm going to take the good paths. And I don't want to end up back here. So what am I going to do to make sure that doesn't happen? So that's kind of what we do. We go in and we help them with that. And so for me on the outside part of it, that's kind of what I want to start with my nonprofit is just a contact for them once they get out, what they just to have like point people they can go to. And have that mentor in their life forever and be able to, you know, reach their dreams and know that they have people that support them and love them no matter what. So yeah, that's kind of what I do and where I want to go.
What were some of the interactions you had that really impacted you the most with that group?
Yeah. So the first time I went in there, I met this kid. His name was Jalen, and he was super quiet. He didn't want to talk to any of us. And I got paired with him. Well, actually, I chose to go get paired with him because I knew that there was something that he wanted to say. He was just really shy or just didn't understand like why we were there, kind of just like bitter of like, who do these people think they are, like getting to come in here. But I knew that I might be able to get something out of him. So I sat by him and I was just talking to him, and he was super quiet at first. And I just kept talking and like trying to make him comfortable with me. And we started this project, and it was listing like people that are in their life that are good to be in their life that they've had problems with in the past. And then in the middle, it was just like a smiley face, a sad face, just kind of how they felt about having those people in their lives or like what that was going to do for them later in life. And we started doing that, and he finally started talking, and I started asking him questions like, why is this person here? Why is it a sad face? And then he would explain it to me, and that kind of just got the conversation going. And it ended up being he wanted to be a race car mechanic. And he wanted to graduate high school, get his degree in college, and that was eventually what he wanted to do. He loves cars, and he wanted to work with race cars. And I was like, that is so cool. But it was just a process of the whole thing. Like he really took it in, even though he didn't want to. And I think that was like my main kid that like changed it for me, because at the end he was like, you gave me hope, and I can see that you guys came in here for a good reason and the right intentions, and you guys love us no matter what. And that's what made me be able to talk to you and open up. So yeah, I think from then on I was just like Jalen was the one that changed my life for sure.
Well, it's certainly good to hear about great work done by you with that group, as well as we talked with Louisa about going to the elementary school in Northport and talking with some Hispanic children as well. It's just kind of a small example of different things you all are doing kind of on your own, but together as a team this past year, getting to host the Be the Change Meet. How'd that come about? How meaningful was it to have that night at Coleman?
Yeah, I think me and Louisa like a few years ago, we were just like, we want to have a Be the Change meet, or like a whatever that meet is, like an all-inclusive, like what can we do? Because that was around 2020, and a lot of the other teams were doing their version of it, and we're like, we want to do that. And we think that's going to be a really huge deal here. And we started like thinking and like, seeing what we could do, and we brought it to Ashley's attention when she became our head coach, and right away like she was on it and made it happen. And we couldn't be more grateful for that, because that's all we wanted at the end of the day, was just to see what could come to light and make sure that everybody had the platform to, you know uh, to show like what they care about and like the other things. Because it's not, it Be the Change is like obviously not just one cause. There's so many causes like everybody brings to the table, and everybody gets to use their platform to use. So that's what's so special about it, is everybody gets to use their voice and just share different causes that mean the most to them. So
That was certainly good to see. And again, it's part of Coach Johnson's second year as the head coach of the Crimson Tide. You, of course, have been there through a coaching change, which can always be difficult. How have you seen her kind of navigate her first 2 years in Tuscaloosa, and how close is this team in year two?
yeah, I think she's done an amazing job, better than I think anybody could have. Coming into that situation is always hard. Um, but the first year she was here, she made it her mission to know each and every one of us separately and individually, and just get to know us as people, So she knew kind of where to go from there, because obviously she had fifth years on the team, she had seniors, she had all of this, like, so many things to learn in such a short amount of time. And she did that, and she made it her mission to do everything that she could possible, to help change the culture and make it something that we wanted it to be. And I think we carried all of that, what we learned from her the first year, into this year with our team. And right from our team retreat, we knew that we wanted this team to be different and closer than ever, and just, be vulnerable with each other. And I remember we sat around the fire, on our last night at our retreat, and we just all were just crying, pouring our hearts out, and just, getting as close as possible, but just being vulnerable. And that's something that I've never experienced. And it was just so special to see everybody feel comfortable enough to be able to do that. And I knew from then on that this year was going to be different. And it has been. And it's been the best way to go out, the best last year I could have ever asked for. And Ashley is a huge part of that, because she made it where we could be, those people, and how to navigate anything that goes on. She's always that person we go to, like, what do we do? And she always is. She's like our second mom. Like, she always knows what to say, and she always knows, what's going to help at the end of the day. So being able to learn from her and bring that into the team and how we lead the team has just been a game changer.
Well, she gets to rely on a really great senior class that, of course, includes you and also these other fifth year seniors, grad students that came back for another season, getting to wear the crimson. I want to go one by one just a moment, talking about your fellow grad students, starting with Maddie Wallagora. What she meant to you and this team?
Yeah, so me and Maddie, we have grown up together basically. We were both in Region 5 in our club gymnastics careers, so we always saw each other, at meets growing up. And I remember when she committed to Alabama, I was already committed, and it was like, I think it was a couple months or a year later that she committed to Alabama, and we were so excited. And we just, I saw her at the meet, and we just bear hugged each other. But we've been on this journey from the start together, and it's been so special just to see each other grow. And just all the phases that we've been through, just being able to be those point people for each other has just been so amazing and so comforting, just to know that you have somebody there, who's been through it all with you. So
How about Ella Burgess?
Elle. Ella came into campus and just had this energy that I was just like, how does she just keep going and going and going? But it was so special, because if you're down, she's going to be that person to pick you up, and she's going to be that person to have your back no matter what it is. And we actually lived together for 4 years. So she's my best friend, and I couldn't imagine anybody else here with me. And I was so glad when she decided to graduate early and come. And right when I found that out, I had her and Luisa in a group chat, and I was like, "You guys want to live together next year?" And that's kind of how it started. And yeah, but I really do think that she was meant to be in my life for a reason, and she just brings the most beautiful energy to every room that she's in. She always has a smile on your face and on her face, and it just makes you want to smile. And but yeah, I love her, and she's truly, truly is my best friend.
All right, we go to the other side of the group text, Luisa Blanco.
Luisa Blanco. Yeah, Lou, we've been through a lot together, and I don't think that I could have done this with anybody else. She really does take the time to know each and every person. And I know for me, anytime I have any type of issue, she's always that person that's going to be there, to have those conversations with, and just sit in our beds together and just either cry or just watch movie, do anything like that. She's just my sister, and I truly don't know where I would be without her today. Yeah, she's really is my second family, down to her mom. Like, we went to Dallas this summer, and I got to see where she grew up and just everything. But yeah, I really do appreciate everything that she's done, not only for me, but for this team and for everything that she's given. Yeah, that's my sister.
You're certainly a great Alabama family. We've just heard you talk about. I mean, we talked earlier about your gymnastics family, with your mom being involved in sports, sisters as well. Just how do you lean on them? How do they support you all throughout your collegiate journey, your family?
Yeah, I mean, my dad, they always drive to Alabama. They never really fly, because they both all have different schedules where they have to get back. And so my dad will drive here Friday morning at like 3 in the morning. He'll get here in time for the meet. He'll watch the meet. We'll go eat or do whatever after the meet, and he'll drive right back. So he'll do that whole drive in 24 hours just to make sure he's there for my meet. Just because with his work schedule, it's just he can't stay any longer than that. But he's also just always been that person that I can go to if I'm like having a hard day. We are very similar minded. So he always understands like what I'm trying to say, even if I can't say it myself. He's always that person. But he would do anything for me for whatever hours it is in the night. He'll do that 10-hour drive anytime, any day. And it does just mean so much to me because sometimes I'm just like, I'm homesick. I want somebody here, and he'll be on his way in a heartbeat. It won't even be a question in his mind. So that's my dad. And my mom, she's a gymnastics coach. So they've always tried to line up their schedules with our schedules. But this year just hasn't been lining up. Like the week before, or she was in Texas last week. We're going to be in Texas this week. And then last time it was Florida. She was there the week before, and it just wasn't lining up. But she's always that first person to text me on meet days. Happy meet day. I love you so much. All that matters is that you have fun no matter what. And she's always that person that's going to, if I wake up sad or anything, or just like a little bit tired and I see that text from my mom, it just always changes my mood. But she always does her best to make sure that she's there for everything that she can be there for. She'll be here next week, so I'm excited to see her. But yeah, just they both go above and beyond for me, and I couldn't be more thankful because I wouldn't be here obviously without them being here for me on that journey. And yeah, same with my sisters and my brother. My brother plays football at Ohio University. My older sister, she lives in Iowa. So every time we go to Missouri, her and her family, her 4 kids, they come and watch. My other sister, Jayla, she was just here last week. They all just go above and beyond for me. And it means so much because it is hard sometimes. And just to know you have that behind you is just a game changer.
That really is good. Outstanding support you get both from your family overall, and then of course your family, as we always call it here in
I have so many
Alabama.
family like members that come to my meets all the time. I'm just like, I love you guys so much. They'll make posters because they know like my mom or dad can't be there for every meet, but they will always show up. And I just love them. Gabby's parents, like, they always text my mom like, we're here for her, like, because my mom always gets so sad. But everybody make sure that she knows that I have people there for me still. So
That's really special. And of course, they're
yeah.
all rooting you and the Crimson Tide on as we continue going through this journey here this spring. And as we wrap things up, just what is this group capable of? What can we expect from the Tide down the stretch here in 2024?
Oh, we were capable of so much, and you've seen a lot, but you haven't even seen anything that we're capable of. We still have room to grow, and we still have room to put everything together and just be that unified front that just comes in and just, we always say shut it down. That was Amelia's little thing. She's like, shut it down, and we're like so close to doing that. But we're just letting it go and just seeing not putting so much pressure on the outcome, but just doing us and just doing what we know how to do, and silencing the outside distractions and all of that stuff. And I have a good feeling coming up, but I just know that we all want it so bad. And we're doing everything in our power to be able to do that. We literally submerged in a cold tub yesterday just to because it helps with like mental toughness and just all the outside distractions. Like, how are you going to focus in knowing how cold you are, knowing everybody around you screaming, there's music blaring, but like how are you going to find what makes you grounded? And that's what we've been doing. We've just been training our minds so hard because our gymnastics is there. It's just we got to hone in on what's going to make each of us individually the best version of ourselves. So yeah, I'm excited. We have a lot to come, and yeah.
We're all looking forward to it. We're going to be rooting you on the rest of the way. Makarri, Doggette, just thank you so much for your time with us this week on Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. Really all the best for you and the Crimson Tide coming up. Roll Tide.
Thank you. Roll Tide.